Namaste. Welcome to ShintoSE yoga experience with Shinto self-empowerment. I'm Zanoni Snowflake. Reader's quite chuffed. We're using up what's left in the fridge. So there's enough cabbage for 2 meals tonight and tomorrow. And we've used up the rest of the root vegetables to keep us grounded. And we get our fruit and veg delivered with some bread and some cheese and yogurt. They don't have goats, unfortunately, but we do get that from Tesco sometimes. But we're trying to get away from the big supermarkets and do local. But it's whatever's less whatever's less stressful comes first. But we've been on this for a while now from the Real Food Box in Newquay, and it's great when you get the vegetables delivered like that because you don't have to choose and you get the seasonal stuff delivered, and it's really healthy to eat seasonal, and also it helps us learn what is seasonal, which will help us for when we start growing our own food. So it was a bit of parsnip left, like half a swede and a small potato, so we've chopped them up and roasted them, and we just we're roasting them, and we just went in earlier. It's like, so put on some salt and pepper to keep it sea salt, rock salt, and some black pepper, which is really, black pepper is really good for inflammation and for achy muscles. And then it's like, should we put something else on? Herbs? No, herbs don't, no. And then it's like, so we put on a bit of cumin and coriander powder, because through this whole process to make life easier, we've had an array of Simply Cook, which is actually one of the harder ones to do, getting in the Mindful Chef, Hello Fresh. I'm sure there's been a couple of others, but we'd have to go through our bank statements where we've had different boxes where it brings everything's really easy for you to do. And we'd normally go with the ones that you got offers on. So sometimes on Facebook you'd see an offer where you got like your first one for like really cheap, first 2 for a lot cheaper, for instance. And that made life a lot easier for us to be able to follow instructions. Even sometimes it was still too hard. What to start with, we actually had pre-packed meals, but healthy pre-packed meals, and we'd have some vegetarian and some meat, because we used to crave meat a lot as well, whereas we're getting a lot better at not craving meat now. We haven't had a red craving for meat. Well, we didn't have any meat at Christmas. It was just loads of cheese we had at Christmas. But next year it's going to be a load of vegan cheese. We'll treat ourselves. So in the process of doing all of that, it's obviously gone into the subconscious. And I think one of the times we had was small diced up potatoes with something similar. So it's really interesting suddenly watching go, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds good. We'll give it a go. And so we're going to have, and then it's like, yeah, but just cabbage and the roasted root veg isn't really enough. Rice, no. Pasta, no. And then we've got some organic baked beans. So we're just going to have some organic baked beans with it. But we could, if we had more energy, but we don't really have much energy, we could make up a chickpea and bean mix. We've got some tinned beans. We've got dried ones as well, but they take a lot more prep. But we could just mix up some tinned beans into like a bean something or other. But we want easy at the moment. But we were really chuffed with that. So it's really hard to know about protein. And also, we heard somewhere that processed soya actually stops you absorbing goodness. So if soya is one of the alternatives for vegans, but processed soya stops you absorbing goodness and vitamins and stuff, then that doesn't really make sense to us. So we have to Google that one again, because that's an old bit of information to see. So yeah, we're still learning a lot on this as well. But we do have like our chia seeds, we have a lot of pulses, and we do eat a lot of nuts and seeds. And we've got some nuts there which have been, well, they've been there since Christmas, which we roast first. Or you can soak them if you want to make like a cheesecake out of cashew nuts. You can make some so good sweets and desserts out of all this stuff. It's so yummy, and you eating it, it's like, oh, this is yummy, and it's all like healthy for you too. So you can soak nuts to get rid of the toxins out of them first, or you can roast them. So we always roast our nuts first before we make nut slabs and stuff. So we've got some nuts roasted and some pine nuts. Another thing is that if the food looks like a part of your body, then that's what it's good for. So walnuts look like your brain, and walnuts are really good for depression. Brazil nuts are really good for men. I can't remember why. Almonds are good for your skin. Come on, we know a couple of others, surely. We can't think of any others at the moment, but generally if it looks, kidney beans are good for your kidneys. Pine nuts are good for your pineal gland. Chickpeas are good for your pituitary gland. I think we've got those the right way around. So you get, so these are all our little kind of simple hacks to, I suppose that we've been watching this YouTube challenge, haven't we? We're coming out with language from them, the 10 best this. But yeah, simple hacks or simple tricks to make life easier when there's just so much information out there. So yeah, we've got some really good vegan books. The next one we're going to do, we've got this one. The next one we're going to do is the chakra book. And then we've got 3 more, the Everyday Ayurvedic Cookbook, which talks about your own individual kind of biochemistry and makeup, but they put it down into your doshas. And you've got Kapha, Vata, and Pitta. And it also talks about seasonal. Now, these are just guidelines for us because we did read it, and then it's like, oh, well, no, but we want this, and we're craving that, and we need this. So when we have these things, it's just for us to guide us so that we can take a little bit from it and then come back at a later stage and take another little bit out of it. But it's really good because if we are out of balance, it gives you the food is thy medicine, nature is thy medicine. Hippocrates is that. So it gives us what to do to be able to balance ourselves back out again. But we have to become aware of ourselves, aware of our symptoms, aware of our moods, and understand certain things to do it in the first place. And so I suppose that's what we've been doing. And now we're kind of on other stages and integrating and embedding and consolidating, learning to summarize. And then we've got the Heart of Yoga book. We were going to do the Subtle Energetic Body Yoga book, but we've already started that in the psych ward. So even though we haven't read it like we do this with the introductions, it's been touched upon. So that is a book that we can go back to. And the Heart of Yoga book's really good because it's about developing a personal practice. So yeah, the Great Vegan Protein book. Fill up the healthy, and we've got used to changing the titles now. We're liking that, and the thumbnails, and it makes it look a bit more interesting too. But after putting that copyright thing in, it's really not much room for information on the actual book, but we put a little top bit at the top for the information on the book, and then further down we'll always pretty much have an Amazon link most of the time. If we remember, we're getting a lot better at it. We'll have an Amazon link and another little bit of blurb about the book. But it's not heaps. We couldn't find our beautiful Zendaya the other day, and he always finds these different spots for me. So it's the patterns have changed, because when his patterns change, we know the patterns change. So we couldn't find him ages ago, but he discovered in the corner of our yoga therapy room behind this little Japanese screen thing where we have a light and a heater, and he tucked himself right in the corner of there. So we discovered him in there, and that's where he was curled up for ages. But since then the patterns have changed, and he started coming closer to us and like laying on our lap and next to the couch. But last night we couldn't find him again. We went around the whole house. It's like, where is he? And we kept hearing noises from over here, and we looked underneath our little, it was a glass coffee table, but one of the altars sat on it and smashed it. And we looked under there and he wasn't there. We looked in the corner behind our little rainbow office area, which is what you can kind of see here, and he wasn't there. But then we still kept hearing noises. So we lift up in, you've got the emptiness under the coffee table, and then you've got the top, which has now got a bit of plywood on it. And then we've got these baskets with like toys in, like magnetic things to make shapes and other things that you clip together to make shapes and other stuff. And he's laying in one of those baskets. So I think he's back in one of them now because we can hear noises from under the table. So funny. Yeah, okay. Fill up the healthy way with more than 100 delicious protein-based vegan recipes. Includes beans and lentils, whole grains, tofu and tempeh, nuts and seeds, and seitan, S-E-I-T, not Satan. Seitan? Yeah, Satan's like the devil, isn't he? Oh my! We just noticed, so we're looking up the Void of Course moon, because last night was the Void of Course moon when we did our reading and our stuff, and we're going to do the World Unknown Journal as well and do some more tarot cards and oracle cards with that. We're looking up the Void of Course moon, and there's the next one, which is a few hours, but it's mainly in the night. It transits into Virgo. So the Void of Course between Leo and Virgo transits into Virgo, like, I don't know, Saturday morning, Sunday morning. But yeah, it's on Monday, because Monday's February the 1st. And it's really weird. I've never seen one this short before, but then one of us might have done. 15 minutes. The moon is only void, of course, for 15 minutes, and 15 relates to our birthday because it's the 15th of Feb. It also relates to the devil in the tarot card, which is Pratyahara, the fifth limb of yoga, freedom from the senses of your desires, moderation. It's the number after 14 is the actual number for moderation, and 14 is also the number of temperance, and temperance rules Sagittarius. The devil rules Capricorn. But it's something, I think it's like for 15 minutes at 11 o'clock on the 1st. We have to look at it. Hold on, no, we've got it here. So yeah, so it's 6:10 a.m, but we've got to add 5 hours because this is like EST or PST. It's in America somewhere. So on February the 1st, in the transition between Virgo, so the moon's transited out of Virgo. She's void of course from Monday the 1st at 11:10 a.m. for 15 minutes until 11:25. So we just thought that was really funny because it's like on the 1st at 11:10, so it's all the ones again, and then only 15 minutes, which equals 6 unconditional love as well. So I think we're going to attempt to do, I think they thought we're going to attempt to do our poem reading at that time in that short period of void of course. Because I know they say, oh, it's only when the void of course is like for a certain amount or a long period of time that it has a real impact. And it's like, well, it depends on the perspective, doesn't it? We're learning that less is more. So if it's only there for 15 minutes and we embrace that real short period of time with real conscious awareness in what we're doing, then that's kind of less, which means it will produce more and be easier. Who knows? It's worth a go, isn't it? By Celine Steen and Tamazin Noyes, Noyes, N-O-Y-E-S. The Great Vegan Protein Book not only contains imaginative, mouth-watering, plant-based recipes, but proves that you can easily get all the protein you need deliciously on a vegan diet. Jenny Brown, co-founder of the Woodstock Farm Animal Sanctuary, woodstocksanctuary.org. Something magical happens when Celine Steen and Tamazin Noyes gets together and writes a book. And the Great Vegan Protein Book is no exception. Their newest title artfully blends mind-blowing creativity with easy-to-make recipes, expertly rounded out with stunning photography and well-researched information. You'll not only get your protein from these recipes, but also have fun making them. Erin Wysocki, founder of Olives for Dinner, olivesfordinner.com. See, we're doing lots of promoting. That's good, isn't it? Fill up and fuel up the plant-based way. If you're a vegan, you've surely been asked, but how do you get your protein? When the topic of your diet comes up. The answer to this, of course, can be varied from tofu and tempeh to beans, nuts, and protein-rich whole grains. But it can also leave those new to veganism and even some old pros feeling a bit lost. What are the best sources? Really? And how do you know if you're getting enough? The Great Vegan Protein Book seeks to put all vegans at ease with the protein question. Veteran authors Celine Steen and Tamazin Nuez will take you step by step through all the top plant-based protein sources available, teaching you what you need to know from a nutritional standpoint, as well as how to prepare these foods. After this primer, you'll be treated to more than 100 protein-packed dishes, with each recipe listing how much protein is in each serving, in case you really want to become a protein pro. Here's just a taste of what you'll find inside. Quinoa crunch blueberry muffins. Apple pie breakfast farro. Veggie sausage frittata. Oh, my stomach just went with that one. We got some in the, we got some in the freezer. Mean bean minestrone, split pea pâtés, spicy chickpea fries, barbecue lentils, tofu fried rice, seitan saag. I'm guessing saag spinach because you've got your in the Indian dish. Tempeh tortilla pizzas, do the cocoa shake. I like the names. Sesame berry squares. Put the protein problem to rest and enjoy delicious meals with the Great Vegan Protein Book. I don't think it's on this channel, but with one of our Simply Cook meals, it was like bim bim bap, and then the younger ones recorded random sound healing sound thingy going bim bim bap, pam pim bim or something. I don't know. It's quite hilarious. Bit embarrassing, but we'll get over that. And what's this reminding us? So in yogi, being a yogi, you got to be a vegan. We used to really struggle with that because why? Who says you have to be a vegan? What is it that, we don't like anyone, no matter what philosophy. We don't like anyone. It's not that we don't like the person. We don't like it when people are adamant or people force you to say, or people say this, it's this way. Anyone that does that is like, well, we'll go away from it. Even if it is good or whatever, it's like, well, no, we don't like the deliverance or the way it's been said. I suppose that's why we're doing what we're doing and sharing what we're doing, because everyone's journey is their own. Everyone's journey is unique, and you've got to find out what suits you and what's best for you, and that can only sometimes be done by trial and error. So the concept, when we were doing obviously our younger yoga teacher training, you go into a lot of this in detail, and it really got us, because you get some people that do go and be a vegan and it makes them look ill. And so for some people, because often the questions I'm realizing that the young ones have is, why is their nose like that? Why is their collarbone like that? Look at this. Why are they shaped like that? And it's not out of judgment. It's out of curiosity, because our body is constantly trying to align itself and heal itself because it's been malfunctioning since we were born, basically. So it's really interesting, the questions that I'm becoming aware of that come out. And before I'd think it was judgment or it's this or that, the other, but it wasn't. It's just child curiosity. So why in yogic philosophy does one have to be a vegan? Does it actually say one has to be a vegan, or is that what we've interpreted from the reading? Who knows until we go back to it. But what I have learned is that some people are suitable to vegans and some aren't, and it goes down to Ayurvedic. And how my interpretation grew and expanded was that everyone doesn't have to be a vegan. One does yoga, one is a yogi, one can be more a yogi doing all 7 limbs of yoga and not even touching the physical postures than someone that all they do is the physical postures, in our personal opinion and from experiences. Our opinions are based on experience and fact and science applied to our experiences and a lot of questioning. It's not whimsical. So, and when you get into understanding protein and your amino acids, there's 9 essential amino acids that we need to break down foods. And meat generally contains all 9 essential amino acids, which is why it's really easy to eat meat and get what you need. But you only get so much of what you need, and then it depends on the meat that you eat. If you eat rice and peas give you the 9 essential amino acids, but you don't want to always be eating rice and peas. I couldn't tell you what else does. This is just the things we've learned along the way that give us our foundations. So what we've learned is that the body needs what the body needs in that moment. until people say about raising your vibration. Meat is an animal product. Animal products, meats are more dense in their vibrational frequency, lower in their vibrational frequencies. There's no good or bad. It is just what it is. And meat are more so than like your animal products, like your milk and your cheese. Then things like cow dairy is more acidic for you, whereas goat dairy is more alkaline for you, so it's healthier for you. Hence, if children have lactose intolerance, goat's milk's really good. As the plant, you've got the plant's roots and the trunks at the bottom of the plant. They are a denser frequency. Wood is more solid than fruit. Fruit's more solid than leaves or flowers. So, and we're learning this from our aromatherapy now, I'm realizing. So as the plant goes up, the vibration gets lower. So when we rise in our vibration in our body, the idea is that one way to raise our vibration is to eat your fruits and your leaves and your higher frequency foods. But if you're someone that actually needs grounding, you need the lower frequency foods like root vegetables and things. But also your body might not be, I suppose, internally acclimatized. Does that make sense? To eating a diet like that yet. So we need to change our body gradually, because for us, different alters have different needs. The younger alters need dairy products. They don't just crave them, they actually need them. Something to do with bacteria in the stomach. I think it's called Christenella or something. And that Christenella gives you the bacteria for your gut biome that enables you to break down the food properly, ingest it, and then be able to have good, healthy poos, which facilitates weight loss and all kinds of things. So you don't even have to do exercise. It's just in your poo biome, your gut bacteria, to if you can poo properly and how many poos you're having a day, to then be able to lose weight. So this is our whole philosophy of losing weight and looking good and feeling good from the inside out, because when the inside is completely functioning at its optimum frequency, the outside just follows, whereas we've always done it from the outside in and it hasn't worked for us. So yes, a yogi eventually, once they've been doing all limbs of yoga and philosophy and every aspect of it for however long they need to do it, and it might be that they do it for a while and then go back, will eventually become vegan, because that's all the body needs and craves. But a yogi doesn't have to be vegan. And again, we feel that if one calls themselves a strict vegan, isn't that just define themselves by a label again, which is why we didn't want to put our labels down. But we have to put our labels down because a lot of the people we want to access and facilitate this knowledge to, so they can take what resonates with them, are these people that are suffering, because we don't want people to have to suffer when we could share information, no matter how hard it is for us to share. The more we do it, the more comfortable we'll get. And if it helps people relieve their suffering and give them a better quality of life and facilitate them to starting to live their potential and their authentic self, then we'll get over it. Because we know what it's like to suffer. So yeah, be a vegan, but don't be a vegan to be a vegan. Be a vegan because you want to feel good, and be a vegan that if you want to eat some meat or cheese, you eat some meat and cheese, but maybe be conscious of what type of meat you eat, whether it's grass-fed and organic and had a good life, whether it's homemade organic cheese. So yeah, we've kind of gone off it a bit there. I don't even know if we covered what we wanted to cover about the veganism bit. But yeah, being a yogi doesn't mean you have to be a vegan. It's something that evolves as one's body develops, as each individual expression of consciousness in the body, be it a cell, be it a cellular system that makes up a kidney, that makes up the liver, that makes up your respiratory system, a cellular system community. Once all of that is functioning in its optimum way, which is why the variety is good, then eventually, yeah, humanity could all be vegans and not have to kill animals and have this beautiful pool going on. But that's in a, real down the line, futuristic, idealistic, newer heaven on earth view, which I don't know if we'd see, I don't think we'll see in our lifetime, not this physical lifetime incarnation anyway. So you got the layout here, mushroom cashew pie. We used to hate mushrooms and we love them now. Mushrooms and garlic. Some raspberry chia breakfast jars. Chia seeds are really good because it's fiber, but it's a malleable. It's like a really soft fiber, so it's not kind of, Yeah, I can't really describe it now, but they're really good. It's really good for you. Apple pie breakfast farro, sesame berry squares. Sorry, we're not really doing very good on showing you the pictures there. Cacchiato, chickpea smothered cauliflower steaks. See, we've done some cauliflower steaks with one of the recipes. It's really, I like the way it's laid out with colour as well. That's our dyslexia. Books have to be really laid out in a certain way for us to really use them. We've got a slow cooker book and 1,000 gluten-free recipes, which are quite cheap. We might get them ready and vegan for fun, but we don't use them as much, but we do refer to them sometimes and then adjust it. With many thanks to vegan cookbook testers everywhere, and especially to those who have tested our books. Without you sharing your time, energy, grocery budget, and feedback, these recipes wouldn't see the light of day. And then there's a few more. After saving us with heroic sandwiches and baking up wholesome vegan baked goods in their previous books, Tammy and Celine nourish vegans once again with their latest batch of protein-rich recipes. Terry Hope Romero, author of Veganomicon, Salad, Samurai, and more. So there's a few more good quotes in there. Ever wonder where vegans get their protein? Tammy and Celine have the answers and about 100 other delicious answers for you too. This book you will definitely want in your cookbook library. Jason Wirrick, executive chef of The Vegan Taste and author of Vegan Tacos. And we used to have a friend that just made the most divine, beautiful food. Taste amazing, look amazing, and yeah, healthy. And another friend that used to make amazing vegan, another used to be friend that makes amazing vegan desserts. Contents. So we have to give gratitude for inspiration and stuff from them. 1, but where will you get your protein? Putting this recurring vegan question to rest once and for all. 2, buzzworthy beans and legumes. Keep your fingers on this magical pulse. We like the way they use their words. Grain, nut and seed powerhouses. Fuel your body with some of nature's least processed bounty. 4, terrific tofu and tempeh. Talk soy to me. Super Satan, welcome to the wonders of wheat meat. See, we wonder about being wheat intolerant, but again, the more we develop our gut biome and the bacteria and our body health, all these things start falling away. So when one that is lactose intolerant or wheat intolerant eventually becomes fine, because they're sorting out all aspects of their being to work in harmony together. Acknowledgements about the author's index. But where will you get your protein? Put this recurring vegan question to rest once and for all. If you've ever even considered going vegan, one of the first things you might have heard from well-meaning folks is, but where will you get your protein? It seems that no one gives much thought to anyone else's protein intake until the moment you vaguely mention adopting a vegan lifestyle. After getting asked the big question so many times, we decided to write this book so everyone would be able to spout off loads of flavorful, satisfying, protein-packed recipes in one foul swoop in a book. There's plenty of scientific research now to say that you get enough protein, if not even better protein, from plant-based diets too. We'll take a closer look at some of the most common sources of protein that are popular with both herbivores and omnivores alike, such as beans and grains, as well as some sources that may be new to you, such as Satan. I wonder if we're saying that right. We'll also demonstrate that there's no deprivation of any kind involved in going vegan. And, of course, we'll share creative and mouth-watering recipes that are packed with both protein and flavour. But to start off, let's answer a few of the most frequently asked questions that come up when people start talking about plant-based diets in general and protein in particular. Plant-based protein frequently asked questions, FAQ. You probably have a ton of questions. Protein can be a tricky issue, and we're going to try to simplify it so that you'll have a better understanding, both for yourself and for those previously mentioned folks with good intentions. Best of all, you'll see that getting enough protein from a plant-based diet is easier than many people think. It's vital to note, however, that if you have serious concerns or questions, you should consult your doctor or a registered dietitian. Bodies aren't all identical, and nobody knows your body better than you. Why do we need protein? Protein is what makes our bodies work. We use it to build cells and maintain our body's systems. Our organs, bones, blood, muscles, and skin all require protein. It is also the building block of neurotransmitters, the messaging cells in our bodies that allow all of our systems to work and interrelate. These neurotransmitters are made of, you guessed it, protein. Our very DNA is made from protein. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a malfunction of the collagen protein, not a lack of, a malfunction. But our out there random beliefs believe that all of these things can be switched around. But yeah, we know that that goes against everything in the current day, which is why we've got to get our body very physically healthy, fit and strong and balanced and flexible, because we know that when we get back out into that world again and society, we're going to have to be strong enough to stand in our truth, because we know it's our truth, even if it's completely against everyone else's truth and beliefs, which we know it pretty much is. DNA is made from protein, in fact, and so are all the cells in our bodies. As our cells die off and need to rebuild, our bodies use protein to complete that necessary process. To be even more precise, our bodies need the amino acids found in protein. There are 20 amino acids, 11 of which are manufactured by our bodies. We got it right! Yeah, you did. Well done. 11 of which are manufactured by our bodies. The remaining 9 come directly from food. While most foods contain amino acids, those found in protein-rich foods are the most usable. When we consume such foods, our systems break the protein down into the component amino acids. Then our bodies magically restructure the amino acids into the different patterns we need to address the various needs of our bodies. In short, we need protein for all of our physical functions. Is plant-based protein as efficient as animal protein? Animal-based proteins contain all 9 amino acids in the perfect proportion for human bodies, making them complete proteins, which we'll explore more as follows. The downside is that animal-based proteins are often also high in cholesterol and saturated fats, which can be Saturn time energies. We welcome you to ground these energies in, to bring the unseen ethical frequencies from the knowledge that we're reading, and to condense it into knowledge in the body through our breath work, through our movement, through our sounding, so that the knowledge can be embodied and turned into wisdom. Thank you, Saturn energy. So much appreciation and gratitude. The downside is that animal-based proteins are often also high in cholesterol and saturated fats, which can be detrimental to our health and well-being. While most plant-based foods are not complete proteins, it's easy to get all the amino acids we need from plants while following a balanced vegan diet. In fact, it can be better for you because plant-based proteins are naturally cholesterol-free, lower in heart-harming saturated fats, and contain more contain more healthful antioxidants and fiber than animal protein. How much protein does a body need? Here's where it gets a little complicated because views and studies on this issue vary. The World Health Organization, WHO, recommends 10 to 15% of our diet be protein. The United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, on the other hand, presupposes that we eat an animal-based diet and recommends that 10 to 35% of our diet should be made of protein. Other studies indicate that we need significantly less protein to maintain a healthy diet. For example, the high esteemed and vegan expert T. Colin Campbell, a respected nutritional biochemist, suggests that our diet should be 8 to 10% protein. And what we'd say now, reading all that, from what we feel, is that they're all right and they're all true, depending on who you are, what your current condition is in your body. And if you're someone that's got EDS and your body's falling apart, then you need more protein to have more building blocks to make up your body. You need to be taking diatomaceous yourself and doing some other things as well to give your body that excess to keep repairing and keep building, because it's got more to do. And it's the difference of building a house from scratch to just making some little, your house is generally fine, but this needs to be done and that needs done, or you need to have a bit of a renovation, or you need to build a room on the back. You need a lot more materials and different materials to build a house than to renovate a house, unless you're completely knocking it down and starting again. Hope that analogy makes sense. We quite like that. This on the spot intuitive stuff's pretty good, isn't it? Like, no time wasted planning, just see what flows in the moment. Choosing what protein intake works for you as it is a personal decision. If you'd like to calculate your specific protein needs in grams, the WHO suggests the following method. Your ideal weight in pounds multiplied by 0.36 equals daily protein intake in grams. Or your ideal weight in kilograms times 0.8 equals daily protein intake in grams. Children, athletes, elderly people, and women at various times during their lives all have specific and unique protein needs. Let us emphasize the importance of speaking with your doctor or a registered dietitian. Getting enough protein is easy, but information is vital. And we completely agree with that. But we also would say to start doing your form of meditation, active, whatever, and start communicating with your body and speaking to your body and see what it tells you, because kinesiology is where you speak to your body through muscle testing, and you can do all these tools and just ask it what it needs, because it probably knows even better than some of these other people. Go see these other people too as well. We're no physician, we're just sharing what we do. What is the difference between a complete protein and an incomplete protein? A complete protein contains all 9 essential amino acids in the most usable ratio that you need to consume for your body to function at its best. While an incomplete protein also contains those same amino acids, they are not in the same optimal ratio. The important thing to remember is that it's best to get your protein intake from various sources throughout the day and to not overdo it with one single source. Sure, animal-based proteins are complete proteins, but so are several vegan foods such as soya foods, seitan, amaranth, and quinoa. We got lots of amaranth. We don't have heaps of quinoa. It's the yellow stuff we've got. What's that called? The corn. We can make a cake with it and all kinds of things. But we do have amaranth, so that's good to know. I think that's probably why we bought it, isn't it, actually? And don't underestimate those incomplete proteins, grains, those incomplete proteins. Grains, beans, vegetables, and nuts are important, helpful options that will also keep you going strong. For years, the common belief was that proper nutrition required each meal to include a source of complete protein, either from a single complete protein dish or a combination of 2 or more incomplete protein foods. Interestingly, many cultures have naturally combined foods in this manner for a long time. Beans and grains, which are typically eaten together in many cultures, are an example of combining foods to create a complete protein. Neither food has the right proportion of essential amino acids on its own, but they become a complete protein when eaten together, or even separately, if consumed within a 24-hour period, as new research now concludes is sufficient, which makes sense, which is awesome and makes sense. So you can have something in the morning, something at lunch, and something at dinner, and even like something at lunch one day and the morning the next day. So you've got that leeway to have it in and bring it in. And that's just reminding us of, it's like medication, man-made medication has different half-lives. Some last longer than the others, some goes out of your system quicker. And all of man-made medication is based on plant medicine. The fact is that as long as you consume of nature, consciousness and nature knows best, it's what made us. The fact is that as long as it's only the ego in man that sits like, no, we take control, we know best, or woman, or human, whatever person. The fact is, as long as you can consume a variety of protein-rich plant-based foods within a 24-hour period, your body will do just fine building complete proteins. We're putting the emphasis on eating a varied diet here, which is key to leading a healthy life, and not only when it comes to protein intake. And then it goes on, where can I find more information on protein, plant-based proteins, an overview, beans and legumes, grains, lesser known grains, amaranth, farro, freekeh, nuts and seeds, chia seeds, quinoa, hemp seeds, seitan, acar, wheat meat, tofu, tempeh, nutritional yeast, vegetables, far less common kitchen ingredients, bouillon. vegan protein sources and the protein per serving in grams. Yeah, it's a really, really good book. Highly recommend it. I think we've just done a book. We're doing book reviews on some of these, aren't we? Namaste. Welcome to the ShintoSE yoga experience with Shinto self-empowerment. I'm Zanoni Snowflake. Love thy body, love thy liver.